Okay, I would like to call to order the regular council meeting of December 14th, 2020. We are remote this evening. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Present.
Mr. Sensi.
Here.
Mr. Council Magno.
Here.
Ms. Gibbons.
Here.
Mr. Hannon.
Present.
Mr. Harrison.
Present.
Mr. McLean.
Here.
Mr. Mowry.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Present.
All members, 9 members are present. At this time, I would like to turn to chair announcements. An executive session of council was conducted on Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020 for legal and personnel items. And tonight, before the meeting started, an executive session of council was conducted on Monday, December 14th, 2020 for legal and personnel items. At this time, I would like to turn to the reports of the officials in our library director's report.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Christine. I'm the director of your public library, where we provide opportunities to explore, learn, create, and connect. Most of you probably already know, but in compliance with the governor's order, the library has returned to curbside pickup only. So that means no in-person services. So unfortunately, we are not providing access to computers or for copies, usually is what people want. So we are open for curbside only Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. We are currently closed on Sundays. This will continue at least through January 4th or until the COVID-19 positivity rate in Allegheny County is under 10%. You're still able to place requests for items through the online catalog. Sorry, my cats are fighting behind me. We are still receiving daily shipments of items from other libraries, so you can keep making requests. As always, you'll be notified when a requested item is available for pickup. Virtual programs, classes, and story time will continue to be offered virtually through Facebook, through YouTube, and also on the library's webpage. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram or check the library's websites for any updates. Late fees are not being charged at this time, and all returned items are being quarantined for 92 hours for 4 days. So if you returned an item and you see it still on your account, don't panic. It's in quarantine and it will come off. And just one announcement, after 25 years of service, the library's administrative assistant, Tina Burke, will be retiring at the end of December. Tina's been invaluable and the backbone of our organization. I don't know what I'm going to do without her. And she'll be really missed, but she definitely deserves happiness. And the staff board and I wish her all the best of luck in the next chapter of her life. So that's all I have.
Is there any questions from council? Hearing none, can we turn to the police chief's report and Chief O'Connor?
Yeah, affirmative. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. On Saturday, this past Saturday, BPPD officers handled the traffic control for the food drive sponsored by SHIM and the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank up on the high school property. It was a success. They gave away food to over 500 vehicles, and they were swiftly gotten in and out of the property with their food. So that was a success. The holidays are upon us. The holidays, yes. So even though bars and restaurants are closed, well, most bars and restaurants are closed, please drink responsibly and do not drink and drive. That would be, because I know people will be at home and they'll still be drinking, so have a designated driver or Uber or something. Okay, since we do not see anyone anymore, please follow us through our Crime Watch email and Facebook. Something tells me there's someone up there right now you might want to take a look at that was arrested very last week. Any questions?
Hearing none, thank you very much, Chief.
Adios.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to go to the manager's report.
Thank you. Two reports tonight. One for the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company, who is conducting their annual meeting. Chief Gerber sends his regards, and he provided the November calls for November 2020. A total of 34 calls were made for November, 1 brush fire, 1 chemical investigation, 5 gas leaks, 1 tree into a house, 1 residential lockout, 1 electrical condition, 1 smoke investigation, 3 vehicle accidents, 5 good intent, 12 fire alarm calls, and 3 CO alarm calls. And moving over to the manager's report. As alluded to earlier, based off of the governor's restrictions in place, most of our local businesses are impacted in some way, shape, or form. Here in the municipality of Bethel Park, we decided to take another initiative very similar to the one we did back in the earlier portion of the pandemic. So to that end, we're focusing a lot of our efforts on our restaurants because those are usually one of the larger impacts. So the municipality of Bethel Park has started an initiative to help promote local businesses in the municipality, not only through a new 3-week COVID shutdown, but long-term as well. As part of this effort, resource lists of local restaurants, shops, gyms, and more will be created on the municipal website, www.bethelpark.net. And a variety of social media efforts will be employed to bring awareness to the importance of shopping local to support Bethel Park business community. If you'd like your business to be listed on the website, please email your business name, logo, website, phone number, and address to kindness@bethelpark.net. If you'd like to participate in the social media promotion involving your business and would like to offer a coupon, certificate, a BOGO, buy one, get one, or other item, please email the information to the Kindness email as well, and a team member will reach out to you. If you want to make some type of monetary donation to help our local restaurants or help our local businesses, you can reach out to our Recreation Director, Chuck Stover, at 412-831-1328 or cstover@bethelpark.net. And that's all I have, Mr. Mowry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Christian. At this time, could we turn to the mayor's report and Mayor Allen?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Just have a couple items tonight, Mr. Mowry. I wanted to mention about the Christmas decorating contest that we have going on. We will have 9 winners, 1 from each ward. The judging actually is from December 21st to December 31st. However, you can nominate a house that you feel needs recognized by calling Janet Davin at 412-831-6800, extension 211. So we probably have between 10 and 15 homes that are already nominated. And then because of the COVID-19 pandemic, all winners will be recognized at the January 11th council meeting. And we will send a certificate to you like we did over Halloween. Just to update you on the COVID-19, we've been doing pretty much everything that the state has dictated for us to do over the last 9 months. And as a whole, we've done very well. So we need to continue to follow the guidelines set by the state. The light is at the end of the tunnel as the vaccination started today. Just keep up the good work. In the holiday season, we will get through that very well. And finally, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a blessed holiday season. And that's my report. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Allen. At this time, can we turn to the approval of the minutes and Mr. Hannon?
Okay, I move that we approve the minutes from the November 9th, 2020 regular council meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hannon and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve the minutes from the 11/9/20 regular council meeting. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, can we turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls and Mr. Hannon?
I move that we approve bill list number 121420 in the amount of $1,810,648.52.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Hannon, second by Ms. Gibbons, that we approve bill list number 121420 in the amount of $1,810,648.52. Any discussion of this item? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mallory,
Yes.
and Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, I would turn to the resident comment section, and we have none. So I'd like to turn to general policy and finance and Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. President. First item under general policy and finance, it's a motion. I move that we approve the request made by Police Sergeant Robert Stidlick to enter the drop on December 31, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve the request made by Sergeant Robert Stidlick to enter the drop on December 31st, 2020. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mallory,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Next item under general policy and finance is ordinance 12-14-20A, municipal authority salary increase. I move that we approve ordinance 12-14-20A, increasing the municipal authority board members' salary to $200 per month, effective January 1, 2021.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve ordinance 12-14-20A, increase the municipal authority board member's salary to $200 per month, effective January 1st, 2021. This has been a number of years since we've increased their monthly stipend. I believe it's been more than 20 for the amount of work they do and effort they put in. I would have no problem submitting this increase. Is there any other discussion from council?
Mr. Murray,
Mr. Harrison.
I have a concern that the motion says that the increase is effective January the 1st, but the ordinance is not effective until 30 days after we pass it.
Okay, we will have that adjusted to 1/14/2020. That would give us our 30 days. So, Mr. Hannon, can you make a motion to amend the ordinance to state January 14th, 2021?
I move we amend the motion to state that the effective date is January 14th, 2021.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Hannon, and I think it was Ms. Gibbons that made the second, that we amend the ordinance to state effective January 14th, 2021. Any discussion of this item? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, can you call the roll on amending the motion, please?
On amending the motion, Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mallory,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
The amendment to the motion passes. Now I will go back to the original motion, and it reads that we approve ordinance 12-14-20A, increasing the municipal authority board member's salary to $200 per month, effective January 14th, 2021. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
For the original motion, Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannan,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
The motion as amended has been approved 9-0. Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Mr. McLean, any additional items?
Mr. President, there are no other agenda items under general policy and finance.
Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to health, safety, and welfare? And Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. There is only one item tonight under health, safety, and welfare. It's an ordinance, 12-14-20B, a stop sign at Cork Drive. I move that we approve ordinance 12-14-20B for installation of a stop sign on Cork Drive at Galway Drive.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. O'Brien and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve ordinance 12-14-20B for the installation of a stop sign on Cork Drive at Galway. This stop sign, I believe, has already been put up under the manager's 90-day clause. This is just officially adopting it with the ordinance. Is there any additional comments? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Sir, Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannan,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. O'Brien.
Mr. Chairman, there are no other items under health, safety, and welfare. However, I have a few.
Mr. O'Brien.
I'd like to say tonight that I am honored to serve as chairman of Health, Safety, and Welfare. The men and women of the police, the fire, and the EMS in this time have been going through a lot, and they've maintained their professionalism and their dedication through this interesting time. Also, I'd like to thank the municipal staff and workers. They're real troopers. They've been going through a lot also and maintaining the level that we deserve. And I'd also like to reach out and say a thank you to the schoolhouse for the drive-by Santa, especially for Timothy the Grinch and Joseph the Rudolph, Joseph the reindeer. I heard that they were there on Saturday and it was a great turnout. And now I'd like to speak about something that is near and dear to everyone right now, and that's COVID-19. This year has been a year of many very hard right turns for everyone. And you see it on TV, and somehow you say it can't happen to me, and somehow it's not real. However, for me and my family, the experience has been a very bad dream. And for others, it has been an incredible nightmare. So we must continue to do what we're expected to do to keep others safe and ourselves safe. Today, this day is truly a great day. We are now moving from the darkness and into the light, in the light of the new hope with this vaccine. I personally will be taking this vaccine. And I ask all of you, everyone out there, to take a deep breath and search for information and get the right information and make a decision to join me in this vaccine. This council, this staff, and everyone, our professionals, we're very blessed to have a lot of people here that have a lot of knowledge and lifetime knowledge. We have a person that sits on this council that has been at the front line of this pandemic for many, many months. Now ask him if he'd like to join in a comment. That's Dr. Timothy Campbell.
I would. Ever since the beginning of thanks, Mark. I'm so grateful for your insights and your direction there and your experience and willing to talk about it. But since the very beginning of this pandemic, there were a lot of unknowns. There were a lot of things that we didn't understand about the coronavirus and its impact and how to mitigate it, how to treat it. And we've made wonderful, wonderful strides with it. We are witnessing now with the unrolling of the vaccines, all three of the vaccines that are coming out in a very short order. Two that are approved, one will be you're going to hear about in the next week or so. We've heard in very short order the end of the pandemic. Now, it's estimated that if we get 40 to 70% of the population inoculated, then we'll have enough folks who have had herd immunity, either if they're inoculated or infected, that we will see radical decreases in the numbers across the board. Mark mentioned that he's going to get the vaccine. Absolutely, emphatically. I plan on doing it as well, because with anything, it's risks versus benefits. And the benefits of the vaccine by far outweigh the risk taking of taking it. So we can take a bit of a collective sigh. It's certainly not over yet. We've got a lot of work to do in the next 3 or 4 months, but within the next 3 or 4 months, we're probably going to have most of the population of the United States, those who want to be vaccinated. So there's some glimmer. There's some light at the end of the tunnel. And with that, we've always tried to drive home, a little bit of optimism, a little bit of understanding that power is knowledge is power. And if we have that information, we can make radically right decisions to make with the information we're given. I'll just take a moment also to mention, I was going to mention this at the end of the meeting, but we have the unique ability to have another truly great thought leader speak on COVID-19. You might remember back in March, I gave like an overview on COVID-19, what we knew at the time. Well, there's a lot of things that have transpired in the last 8-9 months, since then. And in particular, we're going to have Dr. Frank Gaudio. Frank is a good friend of mine. He lives in Upper St. Clair. He works down at Washington Hospital. He's an emergency room doctor down in Washington. He's seen quite a bit of this up front and personal himself. He and I have had multiple COVID deployments. We've deployed together on some of the COVID-19 missions, medical decompressions for ICUs. But Frank is really knowledgeable about this. And part of our Live Well Bethel Park series on Wednesday, December 16th, that's this coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock on Facebook. If you go ahead and click on the Bethel Park Municipality page, on Facebook Live, we're going to at 7 o'clock have an update by Dr. Gaudio specifically on the current COVID-19 situation and what you need to know. Because again, since we've presented this last, there's been a lot of information. There's a lot of bad stuff out there that just makes no sense and is factitious on the websites. Truth is power. Dr. Gaudio is going to speak specifically to what we can look at. And I'll be on that Facebook Live presentation as well. If you can't make it at 7 o'clock p.m., then please, it should be recorded. You should be able to access it on our website. So I thank you, Mr. O'Brien, for the opportunity to talk a little bit more about this.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. That's all I have, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Campbell. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to planning and zoning and Ms. Gibbons?
First item on the agenda, Bethel Pines partial security reduction. I move that we approve the Bethel Pines Development partial security reduction number 4 in the amount of $308,569.50 per the interim municipal planners memorandum dated December 11th, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons and second by Mr. O'Brien that we approve the Bethel Pines Development partial security reduction number 4 and the amount of $308,569.50 per the interim municipal planners memorandum dated December 11th, 2020. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
Next item on the agenda is the South Hills Assembly of God major subdivision. I just wanted to provide a little background information on this. It's the church on Bethel Church Road. If you face that, there's the house to the left of the church that we are subdividing. They're requesting the subdivision from the church property. I move that we approve the South Hills Assembly of God major subdivision application as presented for the interim municipal manager's memorandum dated December 11th, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons and second by Mr. O'Brien that we approve the South Hills Assembly of God major subdivision application as presented per the interim municipal planner's memorandum dated December 11th, 2020. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
Next item on the agenda is the Shade Tree Commission tree inventory proposal. I move that we approve the tree inventory proposal from Davy Resource Group, DRG, dated November 2020 per the interim municipal planner's memorandum dated December 11th, 2020.
Second.
There's been a motion by Ms. Gibbons and second by Mr. O'Brien that we approve the tree inventory proposal from Davy Resource Group, DRG, dated November 2020, per the interim municipal planner's memorandum dated December 11th, 2020. Just for everybody's information, a few years ago, we started a shade tree commission, and one of the first projects that they wanted to do or worked on was developing a tree inventory of all our parks. If we award this contract tonight, it'll be the first step in this process. Hopefully by mid-spring that we'll have the tree inventory of all of our parks completed. Kind of tied into this with the Shade Tree Commission, they were awarded through Tree Pittsburgh, the Allegheny County Clean Air Fund and the Allegheny County Board of Health approved our proposal to plant trees with students for the Bethel Park and the Bethel Park School District. We're doing a joint project along with the school district on planting, I believe it's over 200 trees over the next 2 years. The first planting is going to happen hopefully sometime this spring. So tonight's award of the contract will be a first major step in really getting inventory of the trees within our municipal parks. Are there any other additional questions? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
There are no additional agenda items under planning and zoning.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Mr. Council Magno?
Thank you, President Maury. I have two items under Public Works and Maintenance. The first is the Miners Park ADA Improvement Project, CDBG funding. I move that we award the Miners CDBG project to Swede Construction per the Director of Engineering's memo dated 11/23/2020.
Second.
There's been a motion by Mr. Council Magno and a second by Ms. Gibbons that we award the Miners Park CDBG project to Swede Construction per the Director of Engineering's memo dated 11/23/2020. This is just to add some sidewalks to the playground area. I know Mr. Consolmagno's worked very hard on getting the appropriations to add the new playground equipment. I think they're working currently on putting new fencing, and this is kind of the third part of the project to add some new sidewalks that will be ADA compliant. Thank you, Mr. Consolmagno. Are there any additional comments? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consolmagno.
President Mari, this is just an update on the PennDOT projects. The first is South Park Road, Logan Road, which has inconvenienced many residents of Bethel Park. But again, I want to note that this is a PennDOT project. PennDOT meaning Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. This is project number 100970, which had a completion date of 12/21/20. I don't think they're going to make it. That has been moved to a new completion date by PennDOT to February 4th, 2021. Again, that's an estimated PennDOT completion project. The reason for this are the utilities that I guess cannot be completed in a timely manner for this PennDOT project, but anyone caring to call PennDOT to voice their concern, their phone number is 717-412-5300. The second project at Clifton Road and 88, again, another inconvenience for our residents of Bethel Park, is a PennDOT project, but the PennDOT project will not get completed on time, and that project number is 102961 with a completion date of December 1st, 2020. I guess they've exceeded that date too. I just want to make note that if these were Bethel Park projects by our Public Works, they would have been completed in a timely manner and with the instruction by our Director of Public Works. But again, these are PennDOT projects, and if you care to go to the penndot.gov website for more information, please do so. My final comment is just to wish everyone Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, as we all need it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Consolmagno. Are there any additional items? Hearing none.
Move we adjourn?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned, and good night, everybody. And I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and here's to a much better 2021.
Yay.
Amen.
Definitely.
Amen.
Good night, everyone. Have a good holiday.
Good night. Good night.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.